today I'm going to show you how to make this delicious cheesy baked macaroni and cheese. So let's get started with the video. We're going to begin by shredding our cheeses. You're going to want to shred smoked Gouda, Fontina, Blvd, mild cheddar cheese, and sharp cheddar cheese. When you finish shredding your cheeses, set them to the side. Next, fill a large pot with chicken broth. Bring it to a boil and then add your macaroni noodles. Cook your macaroni noodles for however long it says to on the box. While the noodles are boiling, we're going to make the cheese sauce. In a large saucepan over medium heat, add 2 tablespoons of butter. Once the butter is melted, gradually add 2 tablespoons of flour while whisking the butter and flour together. Once everything is mixed together, cook your roux for about 1 to 2 minutes. Then, while whisking, gradually add 2½ cups of half and half. Once you've added the half and half, continue to cook the sauce while whisking occasionally until it starts to become thick. Once the sauce starts to become thick, mix in 2 tablespoons of sour cream and 2 ounces of cream cheese. Next, lower the heat and add 1 cup of mild cheddar cheese, 1 cup of sharp cheddar cheese, a half a cup of Gouda, a half a cup of Fontina cheese, and a half a cup of Blvd. Once you've mixed in all of your cheeses, add 1 teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/4 teaspoon of Creole seasoning, 1/4 teaspoon of paprika, a dash of cayenne pepper, and a dash of white pepper. Mix your seasonings in until well combined, and then you are all finished making your cheese sauce. By now your noodles should be finished cooking. Add the cheese sauce to your macaroni noodles and mix everything together. Then mix in a handful of each of your shredded cheeses. Then grease a large baking dish with butter, oil, or non-stick spray. After greasing the baking dish, add the macaroni and cheese into the pan. Evenly spread it throughout the pan and then add your leftover shredded cheese on top. When you're finished adding the cheese, sprinkle some paprika on top as well. Then cover the baking dish in tinfoil and place it in the oven at 350 degrees for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, remove the tinfoil and then cook your mac and cheese under the broiler for about 3 to 5 minutes or until the top has browned. Then take your mac and cheese out of the oven and let it rest for about 10 to 15 minutes. And that's it, you are all finished. Now you can enjoy your macaroni and cheese. The mac and cheese is cheesy, creamy, and super delicious. This is my go-to macaroni and cheese recipe. I've improved the recipe little by little over the years, and this is the updated version. Oh, and this is the recipe I used for my Thanksgiving vlog as well. Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Everything I used in this video will be down in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye! Hey everyone, today I'll be teaching you how to make collard greens with brown butter cornbread. This recipe is absolutely delicious and easy to make, so let's get started with the video. Begin by cleaning 1.5 pounds of collard greens. I'm using shredded collard greens from a bag, but you can always just get your own collard greens and chop them up however you like. Once you're finished cleaning your collard greens, set them to the side. Next, cut the meat off of a smoked turkey leg. When you've finished cutting the meat off your turkey leg, set your meat to the side. Now, in a large pot over medium heat, add 1 tablespoon of olive oil and 1/2 cup of diced onions. Sauté your onions for about 2 minutes. Then add 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. And then let that cook for about 1 minute. Once your onions and garlic have cooked, add 2 cups of chicken broth. Then add your smoked turkey. Let your turkey cook in the chicken broth for about 20 to 30 minutes. Once that time is up, you can go ahead and add your collard greens. After adding your collard greens, let it cook down for about 5 minutes. After you've done that, add 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder and 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. Next, let your collard greens simmer over medium-low heat for about 30 minutes with the lid on. Once the 30 minutes are up, add 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar, a 1/2 teaspoon of red pepper flakes, and a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. Then mix everything together until well combined. Also, by this point, you can take out the pieces of smoked turkey and shred them up a bit more and place them back into the pot. By the way, I didn't add any salt because there was enough salt coming from the turkey leg and my broth, but if your collard greens need salt, go ahead and add some. Then let it simmer for about 10 to 15 more minutes. And that's it, you have made collard greens. You can go ahead and lower the heat once your collard greens have finished cooking. Give it a taste and add any other seasonings that you think it might need. Now that we've finished making the collard greens, let's move on to making the brown butter cornbread. In an iron skillet, melt 1 stick of butter. Once your stick of butter has melted, continue to cook the melted butter until it turns brown and has a nutty aroma. Next, pour your brown butter through a strainer. Then set your brown butter aside and let it cool to room temperature. Next, in a large bowl, sift 1 cup of cornmeal, 1 cup of flour, 6 tablespoons of sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, a half a teaspoon of baking soda, and a half a teaspoon of salt. Using a spatula, create a well in the middle of your dry ingredients. In another bowl, add 2 eggs and your brown butter. Whisk your brown butter and your eggs together until well combined. And then add 1½ cups of buttermilk. Whisk everything together until well combined. Then add your wet ingredients into your dry ingredients. Whisk everything together until just combined. Now add your cornbread batter into your iron skillet. It should still have some melted butter on the inside, but you can always add more melted butter on the inside or on the sides of your iron skillet if you feel like it needs more, before adding your cornbread batter. Smooth the top of your batter and then place your cornbread into the oven at 400 degrees and let it bake for 23 minutes. And this is what it should look like when you're finished. Allow your cornbread to cool for about 10 to 15 minutes before serving. And this is the finished result. Everything came out wonderfully. The cornbread and the collard greens both tasted great. Okay, so I wanted to mention a few things. With the smoked turkey, you can add the bone in your pot if you like. I know some people like to add the bone. I just didn't add it because it didn't fit inside the pot, so I just added the meat. I used shredded collard greens because my mom told me that's how my grandma made her collard greens, so I just wanted to do the same thing. Alright, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching the video. Everything I used in this video will be down in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye! Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make delicious oxtail mac and cheese. Let's get started with the video. We're going to begin by preparing our ingredients. First, dice 1 onion. Then Then dice 1 red bell pepper, and 1 green bell pepper. Next, chop up some green onions. Then mince 3 garlic cloves. And finally dice or chop 1 Scotch bonnet pepper. Once you finish preparing your ingredients, set them to the side. Now we're going to clean 4 pounds of oxtails. I got my oxtails from Costco. Place the oxtails in a large bowl in the sink. Then thoroughly rinse them with cold water until the water is almost completely clear. Once the water is almost clear, fill the bowl with cold water, then add white vinegar and the juice from 2 limes. Next, use the limes to scrub the oxtails. Rinse the oxtails a few more times and then let the oxtails soak in the limes and vinegar for at least 10 to 15 minutes. Once you finish cleaning the oxtails, pat them dry and place them in another bowl. Now we're going to season the oxtails. First, add 1 tablespoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of pepper, 1 tablespoon of allspice, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger, 1 cup of diced bell peppers, 1/2 cup of diced onions, 1/2 cup of green onions, 1 tablespoon of minced garlic, 1 diced or chopped Scotch bonnet pepper, 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, 2 tablespoons of browning, and around 7 to 8 sprigs of thyme. Mix everything together until the oxtails are completely coated. When you're finished, cover the bowl in plastic wrap and then place the oxtails in the fridge to marinate overnight. After marinating the oxtails overnight, we can go ahead and sear them. In a large pot over medium heat, add 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil or olive oil, then add 2 tablespoons of light brown sugar. Mix the sugar and oil together until the sugar caramelizes into a light brown color. Remove the oxtails from the marinade and place them in the pot, then sear them on each side. Make sure you sear the oxtails in batches so you don't overcrowd the pot. Once you finish searing the oxtails, remove them from the pot and set them to the side. Then repeat this process with your remaining oxtails. Once you have finished searing your oxtails, use the remaining marinade to deglaze the bottom of the pot. Next, place the seared oxtails back into the pot. add enough beef broth or water to cover the oxtails. Next, bring the mixture to a boil and then reduce it to a simmer. Then cover the pot with the lid and let the oxtails cook for 2 to 3 hours. After an hour or an hour and a half, make sure to check on your oxtails. Stir them around in the pot, and then if a lot of liquid has reduced, add enough hot beef broth or water to cover the oxtails. You'll know the oxtails are finished cooking once the meat easily falls off the bone. Now that your oxtails have finished cooking, skim the oil from the top. Then remove the oxtails from the pot. Once you remove the oxtails from the pot, mix in 2 to 3 tablespoons of ketchup. Next, bring the gravy to a boil, then reduce it to a simmer and continue to cook it until it becomes thick. Once you finish making your gravy, take it off the heat and set it to the side. Next, remove the meat from the oxtails and shred it. When you're finished, set the shredded oxtail meat to the side. Now we're going to make the mac and cheese. In a pot filled with water, add salt. Then bring the water to a boil and add your macaroni noodles. Cook the macaroni noodles for however long it says to on the box. Once the noodles have finished cooking, set them to the side. Next, in a pot over medium heat, add 2 tablespoons of butter. Once the butter is melted, gradually add 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour while mixing the butter and flour together with a whisk. Once everything is mixed together, cook the roux for 2 minutes. Then gradually mix in 2½ cups of milk. Once you've added the milk, continue to cook the sauce while whisking occasionally until it becomes thick. Once the sauce has become thick, mix in 2 tablespoons of sour cream. Next, turn off the heat and gradually add 1 cup of sharp cheddar cheese, 1 cup of mild cheddar cheese, half a cup of smoked Gouda cheese, and half a cup of Monterey Jack cheese. Next, mix in 1 teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of pepper, a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of paprika, and a dash of cayenne pepper. After mixing in the seasonings, you can go ahead and add the macaroni noodles. Mix the noodles into the sauce until the noodles are completely coated. Next, mix in 1 to 2 cups of the shredded cheese of your choice. When you're finished, you can finally assemble your oxtail mac and cheese. In a ramekin, add the shredded oxtail meat you prepared before. Then add some gravy. After adding the gravy, mix everything together. Then add a few scoops of macaroni and cheese. And finally, add some shredded cheddar cheese on top. Repeat this process until you've made all the oxtail mac and cheese that you want. By the way, you don't have to use ramekins for your oxtail mac and cheese, you can also use a baking dish. Next, place the ramekins on a baking sheet lined with tinfoil. Sprinkle some paprika on top of the mac and cheese and then place it in the oven at 375 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes. Once the mac and cheese has finished baking in the oven, you are all done. And this is the finished result. This oxtail mac and cheese was delicious, highly recommend. The oxtails were so flavorful and tender, and the mac and cheese was creamy and cheesy. I was inspired to make this because I saw King Cooks make it, and it looked so good I had to try it myself. I'll have his TikTok linked in the description. Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Everything I used in this video will be down in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye! Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make deviled eggs, so let's get started with the video. In a pot filled with water, add 8 eggs. Bring the water to a boil and then boil the eggs for about 10 to 15 minutes. Once the eggs have finished cooking, drain the water. Then fill the same pot with cool water. Next, place a paper towel on a wooden cutting board. Then peel the eggs. By the way, the reason I didn't place the eggs in an ice bath right after boiling them is because I find them easier to peel when they're still hot, which is why I just add cool water to the same pot I boiled them in. This makes the eggs cool enough to touch but still hot. By the way, I like to place the paper towel on the cutting board because it helps dry off the eggs and it makes cleanup easier after peeling them. Next, cut all the eggs in half. When you're finished, remove the egg yolks from the boiled eggs and place them in a bowl. Next, mash the egg yolks with a fork or a potato masher. When you're done, add a 1/4 cup of mayonnaise and 1 tablespoon of mustard. Then add 2 to 3 tablespoons of sweet relish, and 1/2 tablespoon of sugar. After mixing everything together, taste your mixture and see if it needs any more mayo, mustard, relish, sugar, or any additional ingredients that you would like to add. Once you're happy with how it tastes, you can fill the egg whites with the egg yolk mixture by using a spoon or a piping bag. I usually spoon it on, but this time I'm using a piping bag for presentation. Once all the eggs have been filled, sprinkle some paprika on top. This is optional, but you can also add some freshly chopped chives as well. And that's it, you're all done, and this is the finished result. These deviled eggs are delicious and super easy to make. I use this recipe every time I make deviled eggs and it's always a crowd pleaser. By the way, everyone makes their deviled eggs differently, this is just the way I make mine. Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Everything I used in this video will be down in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye! Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make Teeny's viral baked mac and cheese, so let's get started with the video. Begin by shredding 1 pound of mozzarella cheese, 1 pound of Colby Jack, and 8 ounces of sharp cheddar cheese. When you're finished, pour all the shredded cheese into a large bowl. Then mix all the cheeses together. Next, transfer half of the cheese into a separate bowl. When you're finished, set your shredded cheese to the side. Next, in a small bowl, mix together 1 teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of pepper, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1 teaspoon of paprika. When you're finished, set your seasonings to the side. Next, in a large pot filled with water, add salt. Then bring the water to a boil and add cavatappi or corkscrew noodles. Let the pasta cook for however long it says to on the box. Next, in a large pot over medium-low heat, add 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Once the butter has melted, add half of your seasoning mixture. Mix the seasonings and the butter together for about 30 seconds. This is called blooming the seasonings, and it's a cooking technique that involves heating spices and fat to release their flavor and help spread the flavor throughout the dish. Once you finish blooming the seasonings, we're going to make the roux by gradually mixing in 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Alright, so just remember, to make a good roux, you have to make sure the heat is at medium-low so the roux doesn't cook too quickly and burns. Slowly add in the flour to prevent lumps and ensure even cooking, and continuously whisk the mixture. Once you've added all of the flour, continue to cook the roux for 1 to 2 minutes while constantly whisking. Once you finish making the roux, slowly mix in 12 ounces of evaporated milk. Next, mix in 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Then slowly mix in 2 cups of heavy cream, and make sure that the heavy cream is at room temperature. It's best to add room temperature heavy cream because it'll prevent lumps from forming and it'll prevent your sauce from becoming grainy. Also, room temperature cream allows for more even heating, while adding cold milk directly to a hot sauce can cause the milk to thicken up too quickly. This is what usually causes the sauce to become grainy or form lumps. Once you finish adding the heavy cream, we can move on to the next step. Remember the 2 bowls of shredded cheese we set aside before? Well, now you're going to set the heat on low and slowly add the cheese from 1 bowl. Make sure when you're mixing in the cheese, you add it 1 handful at a time, and that the cheese is completely melted and fully incorporated into the mixture before adding more cheese. And one more tip is to make sure your cheese is at room temperature when you mix it in. Once you finish mixing in the cheese, add the other half of your seasoning mixture. Then mix everything together until well combined. Once you finish making your cheese sauce, it should look like this. Look how creamy and cheesy it is. Next, add your cooked pasta noodles to the sauce. Mix the noodles into the sauce until the noodles are completely coated. Next, transfer half of the mac and cheese into a 9x13 baking dish. Make sure to evenly spread the mac and cheese throughout the dish. Now add half of the shredded cheese from your remaining bowl of cheese. Next, add the rest of the mac and cheese. Now add the rest of the remaining shredded cheese on top. Next, place your mac and cheese in the oven at 350 degrees for 25 to 30 minutes. Once the mac and cheese is finished baking, broil it for 1 to 2 minutes or until the top is golden brown. Once your mac and cheese is finished baking in the oven, let it rest for about 10 to 15 minutes. Then sprinkle some freshly chopped chives on top and you are all finished. And this is the finished result. The mac and cheese came out great. It's super cheesy, creamy, and well seasoned. I definitely recommend giving the recipe a try. I saw a lot of people struggling to make Teeny's mac and cheese on TikTok, so I hope the tips I gave throughout the video help you succeed in making it. I'll put a link of Teeny's mac and cheese recipe down in the description. You guys should check her out. She's an awesome chef with great recipes. Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Everything I used in this video will be down in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye! Hey everyone, today I'll be teaching you how to make these delicious and easy candy yams. So let's get started with the video. Begin by cleaning 4 sweet potatoes. Then fill a large pot with water. Add your sweet potatoes into the pot. Add just enough water to cover your potatoes. Now place the pot on the stove and bring your pot to a boil. Boil your sweet potatoes for about 15 to 20 minutes. You want to be able to pierce your fork into the sweet potatoes, but you still want them to be slightly underdone. So basically you'll be able to pierce it with your fork but not all the way through your potato. That way you can cut your sweet potatoes but they'll still keep their shape. Once your sweet potatoes have finished cooking, peel off the skin. If you make a cut on the skin and then peel it off, it should be easy to take the rest of the skin off. Once you've peeled the skin off of all of your sweet potatoes, start cutting the sweet potatoes into slices. By the way, after you boil your sweet potatoes, they are way easier to cut. When you're finished, set your sweet potatoes to the side. In a baking dish, add a layer of butter. Then add a layer of your sliced sweet potatoes. After that, add another layer of butter. Then add 1 to 2 tablespoons of white sugar. And 1 to 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Then sprinkle some cinnamon over everything until it is covered. And finally, sprinkle some ground nutmeg and ground cloves. Repeat this process until you run out of sweet potatoes. I don't really measure when it comes to making yams. I believe I used 1 stick of butter for the yams, and honestly for the sugar, it really depends on how sweet you want your yams. So I just kept adding 1 to 2 tablespoons of white sugar and brown sugar for each layer. For the cinnamon, you can add as much as you want. I usually just sprinkle enough to cover everything. And for the nutmeg and cloves, I do recommend going easy on those since they do have a really strong flavor. So just a tiny sprinkle. Cover your baking dish in tin foil and then place your yams in the oven at 350 degrees. Then bake your yams for 30 minutes. Once the 30 minutes are up, baste your candy yams until they are completely covered, and then place them back into the oven for another 20 to 30 minutes, or until your candy yams are as tender as you want them to be. You'll know your candy yams are ready when you can pierce a fork through them. And this is the finished result. These candy yams are super easy and super simple to make. They are absolutely delicious. I've been making my candy yams like this since I was a kid. I know everyone has their different way of doing it, but this way was easier for me, and it's still easy, so I use it to this day. The candy yams are sweet and soft and delicious, and they're a great side. I hope the video was helpful and that you all enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching. Everything I used in this video will be down in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye! Hey everyone, today I'll be teaching you how to make this delicious moist cornbread from scratch. The recipe I'm using is from Darius Cooks. He has a lot of great recipes and we use this cornbread recipe every year for Thanksgiving. I'll have his recipe and his YouTube channel linked in the description below. This cornbread is sweet, moist, and delicious, so let's get started with the video. In a large bowl, add 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of cornmeal, 1 cup of sugar. However, if you don't want it too sweet, add a half a cup of sugar or 3/4 cup of sugar. Now add 1 teaspoon of salt and 2 tablespoons of baking powder. Honestly, sifting is totally optional. I just like to sift all my dry ingredients. Now create a well in the middle of your dry ingredients. Then add 2 eggs, 1 stick of melted butter, and 1 1/4 cup of buttermilk. Now mix everything together until well combined. Next, fold in 1 cup of frozen corn kernels. You can also fold in 3/4 cup of chopped pecans. The reason I didn't add pecans into the cornbread is because my brother doesn't like pecans, so we never added it, and now it's just become a habit to not put pecans in the cornbread when I'm using this recipe. Set your cornbread batter to the side and place an iron skillet in the oven at 350 degrees or at broil, just until it becomes hot. Take your iron skillet out and then add some butter. Your butter is going to melt in the hot iron skillet, so use that to coat your pan in the melted butter. This technique is also optional. I just saw a chef use it once and I thought it was really neat. I think I added too much butter though. Now add your cornbread batter into your iron skillet. Make sure the top is smooth and even. Now place your cornbread in the oven at 375 degrees for 35 minutes. While the cornbread is cooking, we're going to make our honey butter. Add 1 stick of softened butter in a bowl. Then add 2 tablespoons of honey, and a pinch of salt. Then mix everything until well combined. When you're finished, set it to the side. When your cornbread is finished cooking and it's still nice and hot, add your honey butter on top. And this is the finished result. This is a really good cornbread. I totally recommend giving it a try. The recipe I used is from one of his cookbooks, which I recommend you get because he has a lot of good recipes. But the recipe that I'll link down below is from his website, which is slightly different. Like I said before, this cornbread is moist, sweet, and delicious. I really like adding the corn because it just makes it 10 times better. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. Everything I used in this video will be down in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye! Hey everyone, today I'll be teaching you how to make these delicious fried seafood deviled eggs. These tasted great and they were easy to make, so let's get started with the video. Begin by chopping some fresh chives and then set them to the side to use later. Next, in a large pot of water, add 1 tablespoon of vinegar and 1 tablespoon of liquid seafood boil. The vinegar helps you pick the crabs and the liquid seafood boil adds flavor. Bring the water to a boil and then cook 2 snow crab legs for about 5 minutes. When you finish cooking your snow crab legs, remove the meat from the crabs. When you're finished, set your crab meat to the side. Next, peel and devein some shrimp. When you're finished, add some butter to a pan over medium heat. Once the butter has melted, add your shrimp. Then add your seasonings. The seasonings I added were pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, Old Bay, and paprika. Then proceed to saute your shrimp for about 4 to 5 minutes. When you finish cooking your shrimp, chop them into tiny pieces. Then set your shrimp to the side. Boil 6 eggs for 10 to 12 minutes. When your eggs have finished cooking, place them in an ice bath and then remove the shell from the eggs. And this is me trying out a trick I saw on TikTok where you use the spoon to remove the shell, but I couldn't do it as smoothly as the lady in the video. Next, cut your eggs in half and remove the yolk. Now mash the egg yolks with a fork. Next, add 4 tablespoons of mayonnaise, 1 to 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard, 1 tablespoon of relish, and 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. Mix that all together and then add 1/4 teaspoon of Old Bay hot sauce, 1/8 teaspoon of pepper, 1/8 teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of your crab meat, and 2 tablespoons of your chopped shrimp. Then mix everything until well combined. When you're finished, set your mixture to the side. Next, in a bowl, beat 2 eggs, then in another bowl add panko breadcrumbs, and in one final bowl add flour. Now coat your egg whites in the flour, eggs, and panko. Then just repeat this process with the rest of your eggs. When you're finished, you can begin frying them. Fry your eggs for about 2 to 3 minutes or until golden brown. When your eggs have finished cooking, place them on a wire rack or a paper towel covered plate. Next, add your egg yolk mixture into a piping bag. Then pipe the mixture onto your eggs. After you've done that, add some snow crab meat on top, some chives, and a bit of paprika. Then repeat this process with the rest of your eggs. And this is the finished result. These came out beautifully, they tasted great, and they look awesome. I think these would make a great appetizer for like a barbecue or a get-together. Frying them gave them a nice crunch, but this is also optional, you don't have to fry them, mainly because the recipe still works whether you fry them or not. And the fresh chives on top made it even better. Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Everything I used in this video will be down in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye! Hey everyone, today I'll be teaching you how to make some corn pudding. This recipe is really easy and it tastes great, so let's get started with the video. In a large bowl, add 1 box of Jiffy corn mix, 2 cups of mild cheddar cheese, a half a cup of sugar, 1 can of kernel corn, 2 cans of cream style corn, 1 cup of sour cream, a half a stick of melted butter, and 1 can of evaporated milk. Then mix all your ingredients together until well combined. When you're finished, set your mixture to the side. In a pan, add some olive oil or non-stick spray. Then thoroughly coat your pan. When you're finished, add your corn pudding mixture into the pan. After that, place it into the oven to bake at 400 degrees for 45 minutes. Once it's finished baking, let it cool for 10 to 15 minutes and then enjoy. Corn pudding is my second favorite side next to mac and cheese. It is delicious and a must-have when I make holiday dinner. Whether it's for Thanksgiving or Christmas or even New Year's, I always make this. My granny made this all the time and me and my brothers loved it. After a while we asked for the recipe and we started making it ourselves. I totally recommend you try it, it's absolutely delicious, I swear. Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Everything I used in this video will be down in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye! Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make this delicious brown butter sweet potato pie, so let's get started with the video. Begin by rinsing 4 large sweet potatoes under cool running water. Make sure to rub off any dirt from the skin. When you finish cleaning the sweet potatoes, dry them with a paper towel. Then place them on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. Next, poke holes in the sweet potatoes. Next, roast the sweet potatoes in the oven at 425 degrees for 1 hour. The reason you want to roast your sweet potatoes instead of boiling them is because when they roast in the oven, the natural sugars in the sweet potatoes concentrate and caramelize, giving you a rich and sweeter taste, which is perfect for sweet potato pie. Next, peel the skin off the sweet potatoes. Once you finish peeling the skin off the sweet potatoes, place them in a blender. Then blend the sweet potatoes until smooth. It should look like this when you're finished. Now place your pureed sweet potatoes to the side. Next, take out 2 thawed deep dish pie crust. Proceed to poke holes in the pie crust. Next, place the pie crust on a baking sheet. Then bake the pie crust in the oven at 350 degrees for 10 minutes. When the pie crust is finished baking, take it out of the oven and set it to the side to cool. Now we're going to make the brown butter. In a pan over medium heat, add 1 stick of Kerrygold unsalted butter. Then let the butter completely melt. Once the butter is melted, continue to cook the butter until it is browned while stirring occasionally. You'll know the butter is ready when it becomes a brown amber color and has a nutty aroma. The milk solids from the butter should also have sunk to the bottom and become brown as well. Once this happens, remove the brown butter from the heat. Next, pour the brown butter in a measuring cup. Once the brown butter has cooled to the point where it's warm, not hot, add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. The reason why we're mixing the brown butter and vanilla together is because adding vanilla extract to warm brown butter helps bloom the vanilla, making its flavor stronger and more aromatic. When you're finished, set the brown butter to the side. Next, in a large bowl, add the sweet potato puree. Then add 1 cup of light brown sugar, 1 cup of white granulated sugar, 1 cup of evaporated milk, the brown butter we prepared before, the juice from half a lemon, the juice from half an orange, 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, a half a teaspoon of nutmeg, a 1/4 teaspoon of allspice, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of all-purpose flour. Then mix everything together with an electric mixer or a whisk. Once you've mixed everything together, taste the pie filling and see if you need to add anything. This is so you can make any adjustments before adding the eggs. Next, mix in 3 room temperature eggs. Your pie filling should be smooth and creamy. When you're finished mixing everything together, pour the pie filling into the pie crust. Use a spatula to spread the filling out evenly and smooth the top. Next, place the pies on a baking sheet. Now place the pies in the oven at 350 degrees for 1 hour. Once the pies have finished baking, take them out of the oven and place them on a wire rack to cool. Let the pies cool completely, then cover them with plastic wrap and let them set in the fridge overnight. After letting the pies set, you are all done. And this is the finished result. This sweet potato pie came out beautifully. Honestly, it's the best sweet potato pie I've ever made. The pie was incredibly smooth and rich, plus the recipe was super easy to make. I hope you guys try this recipe during the holidays and let me know if you liked it. Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Everything I used in this video will be down in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye! Hey everyone, today I'll be teaching you how to make this delicious banana pudding, so let's get started with the video. In a large saucepan, mix together 1 cup of sugar, 6 tablespoons of cornstarch, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Then add 4½ cups of milk, and 4 egg yolks. Whisk everything together until well combined. Cook your mixture over medium heat while whisking occasionally. Continue to cook your mixture until it starts bubbling. Once it begins to bubble, let it cook for about 1 to 2 minutes. Then take it off the heat. Your mixture should be thick by now. Once you've taken it off the heat, add about 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Then add 3 tablespoons of vanilla extract. Whisk everything together until well combined. Pour your mixture through a strainer into a large bowl. This will get rid of any lumps in your pudding. Let your pudding cool to room temperature and then cover it with plastic wrap and place inside the fridge to chill for 2 to 4 hours or overnight. Next, cut 2 to 3 bananas into slices. You can cut up more bananas if you'd like. Me and my dad just aren't huge fans of a bunch of bananas in our banana pudding, as funny as that might sound. When you're finished, set your bananas to the side. Once your pudding is completely chilled and you've cut up all your bananas, you can begin assembling your pudding. Add a bit of your pudding at the bottom of your dish. Then add a layer of Nilla wafer cookies. After that, add a layer of bananas. After you've added your bananas, add a quarter or a third of your vanilla pudding on top. Then repeat these layers until you run out of vanilla pudding. When you're finished, set your banana pudding to the side. Next, beat 4 egg whites with an electric mixer. Once your egg whites become frothy, gradually add 1/4 cup of sugar. Continue to beat your egg whites until stiff peaks form. Then add your meringue on top of your vanilla pudding. Make sure to cover the entire surface all the way to the edges with the meringue. Once you've added all of your meringue, brown it by either using a torch or placing it in the oven. If you're going to brown the meringue by placing it in the oven, then bake it at 425 degrees for 5 minutes. When you finish browning your meringue, you can either chill it until you're ready to serve, or just eat it right then and there. And this is the finished result! The banana pudding came out great, it tasted delicious! One of the reasons I wanted to make banana pudding was because I recently got a cooking blowtorch and I really wanted to use it. Also, I remember my granny making banana pudding when I was a kid, so I wanted to make it too, but like my own version. Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Everything I used in this video will be down in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye! Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make a very moist and soft sour cream pound cake. So let's get started with the video. We're going to begin by preparing our ingredients. In a bowl, sift 3 cups of cake flour and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. When you're finished, set your dry ingredients to the side. Before you start making your cake, make sure that all of your ingredients are at room temperature. The reason it is important to have all your ingredients at room temperature is because it helps the batter easily blend and come together, making it smooth and velvety, while cold ingredients cause the batter to become lumpy and curdled. Once you have prepared all of your ingredients, you can begin making your pound cake. In the bowl of an electric stand mixer, beat 2 sticks of salted butter until smooth. After you've beat the butter, make sure to scrape the sides of the bowl with a spatula. Next, add a half a cup of vegetable oil and 3 cups of sugar. Then cream everything together for about 5 to 7 minutes or until light and fluffy. Your mixture should look like this when you're done. At medium-low speed, add 6 large eggs one at a time. After adding the eggs, add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 2 teaspoons of butter flavor, and 1 teaspoon of lemon flavor. Next, mix in 1 cup of sour cream. After mixing in the sour cream, gradually add the dry ingredients. When you mix in your dry ingredients, set the speed to low. Once everything is mixed together and you have finished making your batter, it should look like this. Next, grease a bundt pan with Baker's Joy non-stick spray. Then evenly pour the batter into the pan. Next, shake the cake pan to even out the batter, and bang the pan against the counter to remove any air bubbles. You're going to want to do this a few times, and when you're finished, place your cake in the oven at 325 degrees for 1 hour and 25 minutes. When your pound cake has finished baking in the oven, place it on a wire rack and let it rest in the cake pan for 10 minutes. After the 10 minutes, flip your cake onto a wire rack. Then remove the cake pan and let your pound cake continue to cool. Once your cake has completely cooled, you can go ahead, slice it up, and enjoy. This is optional, but if you want, you can dust your pound cake with powdered sugar. And this is the finished result. This pound cake is so good. It's soft, sweet, moist, and delicious. Plus, the recipe is simple and easy to make. Oh, and fun fact, pound cake got its name because the original recipe called for a pound of sugar, a pound of flour, a pound of eggs, and a pound of butter. I just thought that was neat. Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Everything I used in this video will be down in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye!